a very somber edition of LOLz. For those of you who I guess are living under a rock,
A very somber
just 48
edition.
short hours ago, the esports industry was absolutely rocked by a match-fixing scandal. Rogue Warriors jungler Han was receiving payments to pay off a poker debt and threw the match yesterday. The seismic shockwaves that have reverberated throughout the industry have left many people, myself, and of course, my co-host Brian Hooper, reeling from what this means for the industry in this toxic stench that is now emanating throughout the air. Brian, I've been depressed for the past few days. How are you handling this?
Feeling better. But yeah, it hurt. I'm not gonna lie. The toxicity was deeper than we thought. Than anyone thought.
It's like, how do you tell your friends? How do you tell your loved ones that this sport, this is when we go home for Thanksgiving and they say, look at what happened in your sport, this thing you've devoted your entire life to. There's no integrity to it. How do we have those conversations with people, Brian?
I'm not sure. I think about it constantly, but one day we'll heal.
And what really is kind of painful is, do you know what I wanted this show to be, Brian? I wanted it to be me introducing the world's top-rated post-coronavirus DFS LOL player. This was supposed to be a coronation for you, Brian, and instead, Han ruined it.
Yes. It's bittersweet, to say the least. But it is nice being the number one post-coronavirus LOL player.
And I think this is what I'm going to do. I am not going to let Han mire this show down in toxicity. We are going to celebrate our successes in this industry. We are going to lift this community up. We are going to celebrate the great game of League of Legends. What do you say, Brian? Do we push through this toxicity?
Let's do it.
Oh, it's so good. And really, there are so many things to celebrate right now, Brian. I mean, we are now getting 6-game slates day after day after day. What has been your thought now on switching from these 3-game LPL to the 6-game combined with the Korean League?
I love it. The prize pools are getting bigger, double, triple, probably about 50 times bigger than when they were 2 weeks ago. Not that we do this for the money, but it's pretty awesome. The Korean League is interesting because they do not release their lineups, making it tough for everybody to figure out who they're going to play. So that could be some interesting game theory to think about. Maybe we could talk about that later, on who you're going to actually play. I love it. What do you think?
Yeah, I enjoy it too. It adds a whole new wrinkle to it. It's like there's so much, we're in the, maturation period of this DFS LOL ecosystem. And it was like, oh, right when we had like a week of the 3-game LOL slates feeling a little normal, now we get this curveball. I think it's interesting. It looks like the LCK scoring is slightly less voluminous than the LOL, which is an interesting thing. And I'm sure we'll get into it tonight, but it's particularly interesting with the LCK teams all being the heavy faves and the LOL being more closely matched. So I think that sets us up for, are people going to chase the higher scoring LOL in more uncertain games, or are they going to lock in the points from the big fave? So I think it adds a whole new wrinkle. I think it's great for our community.
Yeah, I think it, and to talk about that comparison really quickly, I don't think it matters because generally the prices should be adjusted, and it's just like other sports that aren't as cool, like the NBA or the NFL. If you have a lower projected scoring team, usually the price is lower. And so it should work itself out. And either way, you're just trying to find who is better projected in comparison to their ownership on that slate anyways. So it shouldn't really it could help you because people could just give up on the LCK.
Right. And I think what Brian's saying, and this is kind of a problem with a lot of, or a pitfall of DFS, is counting something twice, right? So if your projections are already baking in that lower scoring, and then you're going out of your way to fade LCK guys, you're counting that twice
Yeah,
because the projections are already baking that in.
that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. And the another thing is people talk about ceiling as well, which I think is a little overblown. And so when you count that the players are projected on teams that won't score high in fantasy points, and then say, oh well, then that means he won't, have that breakout game that's going to win me a GPP. The ownership's going to be minuscule, and that's what it looked like last night, and that's what I'm expecting tonight as well.
Yeah, I think too, last night was another interesting one. FPX was a team that a lot of people wanted to gravitate to. I believe they had the highest implied win probability. But then, I didn't get a chance to get up, and watch that game, unfortunately. But it seemed like they made quick work of them and didn't rack up enough points in the process to be kind of in the optimal. How are you thinking about handling those super big faves, knowing that they have that risk and the kind of jacked up price tags?
Same way I do in the lesser sports, where it's a combination of projection and ownership. So it doesn't really change for me that um, that there's so many heavy favorites, right? You're not going to get, especially like in the NBA or something, you're not going to get a minus 1800s. And I don't know what was one of them yesterday was like astronomical favorite. I
That
can't.
was FPX, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Because I thought there was one in the LCK that was huge too, but I could bring it up maybe. But yeah, that doesn't really change anything for me based on what I do. I mean, I get like the inclination to want to go straight to those odds and go, okay, yeah, they have a 10% chance to win and they're only 1% owned. If I get lucky, I could bank. But to go to like one of my videos I made with like boom or bust, or the idea of getting like some equity back, some money back too. You don't want to go too insane, right? And just for the sake of, hey, I'm going to take first here or not. So it's definitely give or take, but like I would be a little more nuanced than just going uh, either or, right? Like, oh, I'm a heavy favorite guy, or I'm a like super long shot guy because I want big first.
Right. Right. What have been your, sorry, what was it? Oh, I wanted to hop in the chat real quick. We got Marcos out here. We got Ryan K. We got David. Marcos said, I thought LCK was an abbreviation for Louis CK. No, that is not. And luckily, Ryan quickly pointed out that is a toxic name, and we won't be mentioning that comedian on our show going forward. Brian, I do want to, I want to get inside the life of a high stakes LOL player, because of course, as we all know, these lock times and these game times are very early in the morning. You mentioned the LCK does not release their starting lineups in advance like LPL. Have you considered setting your alarm to wake up and see if you could scrounge up some information?
Um, I did last night.
You thought about it, or you did
No,
it?
I actually did.
Yeah. What time did you set your alarm?
12:05 or something central.
Okay. And what? And did you find anything meaningful when you did that?
Nothing. Complete waste of time.
I think our buddy Alex had done a tweet about setting his alarm too. So
Yeah.
at least
He didn't tweet though. He didn't tweet out at like 12:45. So
Yeah.
I don't know if he let that alarm just ring and keep going back to sleep, or if he actually woke up and made some changes.
I want to take like a Hollywood approach to how I picture this scene. So you have the entire skyline of Chicago and it's all dark, it's the middle of the night. And then an hour before lock, we see two lights in different apartments in Chicago flicker on. It's Brick 75 and Osimo waking up to check if there's any inactives or starter news for the LCK.
Yeah.
They furiously update their projections, and then they go back to bed and the city sleeps soundly.
That, or Alex stays up and just watches the games in their entirety and then just keeps working all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, if Alex's so-called girlfriend is in fact real, she is going to leave him at this rate because, I mean, to me, it seems like not only is he doing the DFS, but he is actually just playing League of Legends nonstop all the time.
Yeah, it does feel like that. Yeah.
Do you think, are you worried now? You clash with Osimo in the high stakes LOL streets. Are you worried about him gaining a competitive advantage on you by knowing the sport so intimately, having played it way more than you?
Yeah, well, it would take him years to catch up.
It's
right?
true. I mean,
So,
how many hours would you say you've logged?
how many hours does the average adult male work in a year?
I mean, 40 hours a week times 4 weeks or times 52 weeks. I mean, someone do that math.
Double that. Just double it.
I do want to just quick shout out to Sal in the chat. Lots of toxicity on these Jersey Shore reruns. Sal, I need you to mute Jersey Shore. You can keep it up in the background, but I need you to listen to a show that screams positivity. Okay.
Yeah.
It's done with the GTL. No more Gym Tan Laundry. In with the LOL. Okay. Take that to the bank. On a serious note, how are you handling the LCK uncertainty as far as sub potential?
So first of all, some of the longer shots to play, I'm just not even uploading them into my optimizer. And this is kind of how I handle it in most sports. If there's a decent shot that they're not going to start, they're super unlikely to make it into any of my lineups.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to predict this stuff to begin with. So like I would just personally, I would just skip them all. And so like someone could say, okay, well, everyone's doing that. So if I roster, let's bring somebody up here. If I roster Sprint or Nuclear, right? Nuclear, then that means no one's going to have him. So that's true. He probably will be like 1% owned tonight, maybe less. But like if he's not going to play 30% of the time, 40% of the time, 20% of the time, I think if you ran the numbers on that, it's probably not worth it. And it's one of those things where, stacking, 5-man stacks in football, crazy correlations, super, 6 guys under under 5% in golf. Yeah, you can bank.
Yeah.
But over the long run, you're going to need to bank way more frequently than you are probably going to burn through your role. And so like if you're just like a casual player, go ahead, fine. Throw one lineup in, 2 lineups into the big one, the big GPPs, and then play those like 20% on guys, but 20% chance of not playing. But otherwise I would just stay away from it.
Right. And the other thing I've noticed is a lot of the times the teams that are shuffling around their starting lineup are the teams that aren't performing as well and not doing as well. So they're already kind of behind the curve. The teams that are crushing, they don't feel the need to mess with their starting lineup, which actually brings me to a fun story that I just got triggered. Brian, let me take you back to Denver, Colorado in 2001. I was a freshman in high school. I was new to the high school. I went from a private middle school to the high school with 5,000 kids or 2,000 kids. I walk onto the soccer team. They don't have a freshman team, so I have to play on the JV. I'm not getting any playing time at all, ever. We have a game, and we are winning 8-0. 8-0. It's the second half of the game. The coach still hasn't put me in. I go over to the coach. He was this Indian man named Bari. And I say, Bari, we are up 8-0. If I'm not going in now, when am I ever going in? And he looked at me and he said, Peter, if it's not broken, I don't fix it. And I quit soccer the next day. But all of this goes back to my point that these teams aren't feeling the need to fix a broken starting lineup. So you're probably already playing a slightly EV guy anyways if they're in that kind of rigmarole.
Yeah, I could see where your interest in toxicity started.
He
Maybe
was
we
an
don't
incredibly
fire.
toxic coach.
Yeah, there was. I don't know. Okay, we're telling high school stories. There were my brother's soccer coach, who was gone by the time I got there. My older brother actually hit him in the head with the coaching clipboard. This is
Like Bobby Knight style?
this is what it was acceptable back then. So so apparently soccer coaches are a little more violent than or toxic, I should say, than people think.
I need a ruling from you, Brick. Is this nickname toxic or not? Big Dick Brick. Thanks for all the help, my guys.
Oh.
I mean, I'm going to let you make the ruling on this.
I guess that he's trying to be complimentary. So I'll allow it. What do you think?
Oh, I think I'm allowing it. And the thanks for all the help guys really sold it as, and 2 exclamation points. He's bringing positivity. There's a lot of toxicity. Marcos is on my side here. If you're up 8-0, then at least put in the water boy in with the rest of all your all-stars. I don't know if you're equating me to being the water boy. It sounds like you might, slightly toxic. But there you go. It's one of the segments we love doing on LOLz, right, Brian? A little nostalgia walk down memory lane.
I could do it for like hours.
I'm looking at the likes on this video, and it's pretty sad. I know there's 24 people watching right now. Brian, if we get to 20 likes, will you give out a hot LOL tip to the people? All right.
Let me look for one whilst that happens.
It doesn't have to be this slate specific. It could be something from the Big Dick Brick vault,
I'll give them something. I'll give them something for tonight. I'm assuming these guys are all going to play tonight.
Is this breaking news to you from Ricky in the chat? No Thunderdome tonight.
No, there's a Thunderdome going. Let me look. I haven't entered it yet. So yeah, there's a Thunderdome going right now. It's Empire Maker, Peter Gibbons, A Raven 52. It's 8 max entry. So it's you're right. It probably won't fill if that's what you're talking about. What's the guy's name?
Ricky.
And then the base destroyer will fill most likely.
Here's a question for you. I know you've been playing everything, the high stakes, you've been playing cash, large field GPP, small stuff. What game type has been your favorite to play for League of Legends specifically?
I like both of them, honestly. And I'm not even kidding there. Like the problem right now, I think it's pretty inefficient. So you should be, if you think you have an edge, you think you have good projections, I think you should be playing both. That might not hold up in the future. And that's one of the problems with all the other sports is there's just a lot of sharp players in them. And so cash games can get tough, especially when the rake is a little higher. Just like 1-2 points of your ROI going down could mean the difference, especially in your swings and in like your confidence in playing it.
Yeah, I definitely have been more enjoying, the GPP stuff, 20 max, 3 max, single entry. But the cash games are interesting right now. Just like you said, it does seem like everyone's still feeling stuff out. We think about NFL, and it's just every single person knows you stack a quarterback with a wide receiver. And yet with League of Legends, I mean, this new slate's introduced. I saw so many different construction types yesterday, from 3-3-1s, 2-2-2-1s, 4-3s, all the different various combinations as people kind of figure out what's optimal here. So that makes it a really fun time, I think, if you do feel like you have an angle on it to kind of push that while the market gets more and more efficient. Because would you say, I mean, that's an inevitability that the market gets more efficient here as we continue to go?
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's no way it's not. There's already, like, I just named some, really sharp players who are playing in the Thunderdome who are taking an interest in it. So there's no way it's not gonna get sharper. As far as like the multiple versions of stacking, I think eventually I don't know. I don't know where I stand on that yet. Like my advice is still the same as our 100th anniversary episode, is just stack until further notice.
Yeah.
But like, clearly you could win with a 3-3-1, a 4-2-1. You could win with a 2-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I mean, but I just don't see how that is optimal just
Yeah.
yet. But hey,
I mean, because it's kind of, I mean, it's like that for a lot of sports, right? Where it's like the winning lineup often comes from a construction that's slightly off, the optimal or what
yeah.
conventional wisdom is, but it also, or go ahead, what were you gonna say?
Well, it's just like, so like I don't really like that. People say that, and to me, it's just an excuse. It's like, yeah, I saw one where all these low percenter, non-correlated guys won the Millie Maker. It's like, yeah, it's the fucking Millie Maker. Like,
Yeah.
there's going to be some really random shit going on in those, and like, it doesn't mean that that is optimal. Like, and also the like the Millie Maker has what, 300,000 entries, 400,000 entries in it.
Yeah.
You don't need to get that contrarian. And like, okay, what, like, how do you know who the hell who the hell to pick? I mean, I guess if you have a good projection source, you could change, you can change it up there. But like, um, just because it's happened, just because lightning strikes every once in a while, it doesn't mean you should stand under the tree.
It's those are words to live by. It's a good proverb. Yeah, I think it's and it also depends on what your goals are. Like you said, right? Like, do you want to chase those teams with a low probability of upsetting and try to get to the top of the leaderboard? Or are you trying to grind out a solid ROI? It kind of depends what you're doing. But I think the point Brian's kind of making here is, in general, that if you do want to kind of play it by what has proven to, be the most optimal with the stacking, because it's not fully efficient yet, it is a good time right now. That I always, with NFL, it was like my whole issue was getting too cute, my galaxy brain. Well, you don't really need to galaxy brain too much in League 11 right now. We might in a month, but not necessarily right now.
Yeah, and so like, for example, a lot of tournaments have probably, GPPs have probably filled by now, which is insane how popular this is getting. But after the big one, the 50K to first, that's 20,000, 0.5 thousand, and 20.5 thousand entries. The next highest is 1,700, and the next highest after that's 700. So it's popular, but it's not that popular yet. So like, in a 700 person tournament, there's a lot. That's like kind of the amount of people in the higher stakes ones and the other sports,
Right.
right? So like, you're not gonna need to go insane in those to get your 2-2-1-1-1s or whatever.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. I'm not convinced this is an efficient market, and the GPPs, besides the huge one, is not that, there are not that many people in them. Let's just stack until further notice.
There we go. Stack until further notice. It looks like what did we get up to? Only 13 likes, guys. I mean, we gotta get 20 if you want the hot LOL tip to get released. I refuse. I mean, Brian might try to sneak it in without us getting to 20, just because he likes to share so much, but I will cut him off. I will talk over him. He will try to give you the nuts, the skeleton key, and I will go, nah, 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 because we didn't get 20 likes. So Ricky was saying for the Thunderdome, he meant for you. He meant you weren't going to enter the Thunderdome.
Oh no, I'm probably gonna. All right, Ricky, how's this? I'll enter it right now.
From my experience with you, Brian, you're always on the fence, and then all it takes is one person being like, "Oh, are you going to play that?" You're like, "Okay, yeah, I will."
Yep.
Man,
Man. All right.
thank you.
I'll enter the second base destroyer too. Let's see who's in the 550. It's the same fucking people.
Yeah, you guys got a nice little.
All right,
It's
there
like
you go, big guy.
you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the guys that have their foursome that they go hit the links with. It's just every night you hit the Thunderdome with your favorite buddies.
Hopefully my LOL game's better than my golf game.
Yeah, golf might be one of the few things that we have here during social distancing as it gets nicer that we might still be able to realistically do
Did you
outside.
see that the PGA estimate their goal is the third week in May to come back?
Man, I don't know about you. I still want to blanket under bet all of the start times, whatever they say they are.
Oh yeah, yeah. I doubt that's their over under. I bet that's their
They're
best hope.
Yeah. Well, did you see the stuff how like Dana White is pushing super hard to get that? What is it? UFC? Is it
40,
249 or whatever?
49, yeah, whatever it is.
The one with Khabib and,
Yeah,
the thing that to me it's like, and people are so bullish right now
yeah,
about the NFL as well, and all the bullishness just comes because the commissioner's like, nope, we're on schedule, and it's like that doesn't mean they're on schedule. Like Dana White told us UFC wasn't going to stop at all, and all of a sudden the Nevada Gaming Commission comes in and says, yeah, no events in Nevada. And he's like, okay, yeah, I guess I can't. So like, I don't buy it when these leagues have all this optimism. Japan was going to go through with the Olympics as of 3 days ago.
yeah.
And then finally, countries like Australia are like, we're not coming regardless. And they're like, okay, yeah, I guess we're not having the Olympics. So I guess I just don't buy any optimism from these leagues themselves right now.
One of some, unless things go really sideways, one of them's going to have to come back right first, right?
Right.
So like I would PGA's probably first, right? So okay, they're caddy and the player. There's non-contact sport. Caddy and player can socially, or socially distance themselves 6 feet or whatever. They can cut off the live fans. It's not a huge breadwinner for them anyways, although I'm sure it's a big one. But like, and there's no, unlike NASCAR, there's not 1,000 people needed to run the cars and then the stadium staff, right? Like a golf course, they need a bunch of people compared to just when it's your normal local course. But like, you don't need that many.
Yeah.
You would think. I'm not an expert, but like PGA seems right to come back. Then maybe like NASCAR seems like a possibility. MMA. Besides the crew to film it, right? You would
Yeah.
figure like, okay, yeah, it is a contact sport, but it's only two guys. Hopefully they could test them before
Yep.
the fight. They only need their trainer and their coach or something like that.
Yep.
You announce from your home like LOL does. and there you go. Like I think they could do it. It's indoors. Hell, they could even do it outdoors.
Yeah. I do agree with that. I think golf and MMA are probably most likely to be back sooner than later. But I guess my pessimism just stems from the fact that we still aren't to the worst of it in America yet, and we just don't know what those ripple effects are going to be like. And the other thing is, it just seems like such a fragile situation. I mean, even if you had one MMA fighter who then came down with it, or one golfer, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, what's does everybody have it? Is this getting spread or whatever? But like you said, if they were able to find a way to test everybody regularly, I'm just more worried about our entire infrastructure and everything over the next.
Yes, I'm saying if things don't go completely sideways, like so let's
Yeah.
all hope. Let's think. This is a show about positivity here, Peter. And but like that's a plus in the MMA category, though, you just said, because every event is a complete turnover. Essentially, it's a complete turnover on fighters, right? So they're not going to get each other sick. It's a complete turnover on fighters. The next one I'm saying, it's a complete turnover on stadium employees. It's a completely different location in the country or world, right? Besides the announcers who can do it from home, MMA like seems like they could theoretically do it, assuming this whole fabric holds together.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I will say this, guys. I am a lot less stressed out about all the sports coming back as much as I want them to. We got League of Legends, guys. This is a show about positivity. It's a show about League of Legends. And I will just say this, without being positive or negative, this is a positive spin. If you are holding out on playing League of Legends DFS because you're like, all the other sports will be back soon enough, we'll have the NFL draft, we'll be on our way, I'm telling you, it's better to come in now because you don't want to be the guy when the NFL season officially gets pushed back that is catching up with us League of Legends thought leaders, right, Brian? They need to get in now and start building up a knowledge base so we can just all play this together for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, no, for sure. The rise in entries is staggering, but I think it's gonna go higher. I'm gonna give it like a 40% chance that there's gonna be a milli maker in our future.
That has to be like, that would be the pinnacle if we could get that. And I don't think it's, listen, like, I will bet on a milli maker in League of Legends happening before a lot of things that I think other people would bet on happening.
Maybe I should open a bet on Twitter, see if any of the psycho gamblers who follow me will bite on it. So like, okay, so like minus 100 would be 50-50.
Yep.
So like, let's say minus 200. Is that like a realistic opportunity to bet on? It might be if I'm putting real money on it. Hold on, let me see what I'm comfortable with before I talk.
So minus 200 on there being a milli maker.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, for them, so plus 200 for me.
Okay, yeah. So plus 200 for you. You're saying that there's a implied 33.3% chance.
Okay, that seems fair.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
Yeah. And the thing is the reason why I think it's a good bet is, look, everybody's been impacted by this within the sports world. It's the trickle down from the sports leagues themselves to the DFS providers and the DFS content providers. DraftKings and FanDuel, we joked about this last week. FanDuel whipped up an LOL product in like 3 hours because it was the only way to continue bringing in money. These sites, if it's the only show in town, there's rumors DraftKings adding CSGO, whatever that is. They're going to keep innovating here, and they're going to keep pushing these contests. Sorry, there's a little bit of a, as you know, Brian, across the gaming spaces, the Counter-Strike, LOLz community have kind of butted heads, but yeah, I think it's a really good chance that we see a milli maker here in the next month or so.
I did get an email from DraftKings, and let's see if I could bring it up.
And while you are pulling this up, I'm going to hit the chat real quick. Ricky, we hit on that LPL LCK discussion earlier in the stream. If you want to watch it back, the TLDR is that it should already be baked into projections and shouldn't matter too much if you're using good projections. Marcos, I'm loving these streams. Thank you. And I agree. We might be playing LOL for the next 6 months. How about this, buddy? We will, and we'll enjoy it. All right, Brian, what was your email?
So I won't share it all, but he said at the end of it, we were talking about what product they're going to be pushing forward. He said, so stay tuned for something big later this week. So we'll see.
That's from your rep.
That's for my rep. I don't know if I don't think that means a milli, but we've gone from 100, 180, 100, 125, 150, 175, 200, now 300,000 on Sunday. And they could price it like one of those, crazy showdowns where first place, gets 80% of the prize pool.
Yeah.
Just to stir up some interest in League of Legends.
I want to see that, because then we'll start to see the crazy strategies. I want to see someone roll out a 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1. Just see if you can really
that'll probably be what wins. And I'm still holding to this. Here's my theory on what's going to happen in the meantime is someone's going to win with the team position in the captain slot.
Yeah.
Right. Someone will win with that in the next week or two. And then everyone will copy it, right? And the team captain slot will go up by 5-10% owned, right? And then there'll be discussion on whether that's sharp or not. And they'll reference the guy who got lucky. And then eventually everyone will be laughing about it, like a month later, only an idiot does it, right? So don't. I don't want to give a blanket don't play. I'm not even 100% sure myself on if team should be in the captain slot, but that's my prediction on what's going to happen.
have you messed around like with your projections of without any constraints, just letting it rip and seeing how many times the captain comes up?
Yeah, and it could come up a decent amount, um, which it shouldn't really shock you if you have a lot of experience doing optimizers and Fantasy Cruncher, because just those low owned guys seem to pop in captain situations quite a bit.
Right. And the more lineups you're making, the
Yeah,
more different combos you're just going to end up seeing as well.
especially in stacking, right? In stacking, there's only so many combinations we can do. Even more so in LOL than like MLB or hockey.
Yeah. Well, so Marcos asked the question. I mean, I think this is the general question, and you could say the same thing of when people would do a kicker or defense in an NFL showdown. He asked, "How is team captain giving you any upside?" What I think, I mean, and Brian, tell me if I'm wrong, but the upside isn't necessarily in for the captain slot, but the upside in what you're able to get with the rest of your slots.
Yeah, exactly. And in comparison to ownership. So like you'll be the only one with the lineup. And then, some crazy game goes off where they get a ton of barons and dragons and turrets. And it's just enough to where you also have all the studs in the right positions spots. So like it could definitely happen. I mean, honestly, if it was even more inefficient and a bunch of people were putting team into captain, I bet it would have happened already.
All right, Brian, I'm going to put you on the spot. A question just came up in the chat from Wes Bearden. I want you to look into the camera and I want you to tell people like West, who just recently tried LOL for the first time, that are scrolling up the standings and see Brick 75 everywhere, why they should continue playing, why you are beatable, and why that they are a welcome addition and that whatever you're doing is not sustainable.
Oh, that's
That was a leading question.
Yeah. Yeah, there was like three questions in one, maybe. Did he ask why he should play? He didn't ask why he should play. I think he just kind of made that up, but I'll answer that anyways. You don't have to play against me. First of all, I'm not allowed to play in anything under like $4 or $5 or whatever it is on DraftKings. So if I was you, I would play all of those. Now this has me like talking like I'm the shit, but like you should definitely just play as long as you're allowed to play. And you have the role for it. Play everything under $5. Your ROI is going to be huge, and you don't even need to make that huge ownership adjustments at those levels, which is key.
And I will piggyback off of that. I mean, so last night, DraftKings ended up having 3 mini maxes. The $50 max 150, so $75 to max enter. They've been rolling out multiple $3.20 maxes, multiple $1.20 maxes. They have the dime time, they have the quarter jukebox, like whatever style you want to play and not go against Brick, not go against them. They have that available and they're filling and they're adding a bunch. So you can get a lot of money down and never see Brick's name in a contest, which is nice.
Yeah. That's pretty funny, Marcos. I'm trying to be Brick 76. Yeah. And so like, just to give you guys an example, when we first started doing,
be careful what you're going to say.
Post-coronavirus.
Okay.
Post-coronavirus. I think the most I was able to get down was like $1,600. And I think I entered everything. And now it's 30 times that. For LOL.
Yeah.
With, in the restricted games over $4 or whatever they make me play.
Yep.
So that shows you how big it's got. And there's no way, Marcos, my friend, there's no way that those guys are all good.
Yep.
There's no chance that amount of influx that these guys all have it figured out. So you could definitely League of Legends right now is easier than probably any other sport to win money at.
Let that sink in.
Yeah, seriously, it really is. And that could be dramatically different different in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. I would like to apologize to Wes. I took a comment that was a perfectly normal comment, and I had a slightly toxic spin on it. I led the witness, and I put everyone in an uncomfortable situation. And Wes, I apologize. I realize you're just a fan, and you're happy to see Brian succeed, and you're trying to learn something new. And I apologize for making that a toxic environment.
You know,
Um,
hopefully he forgives you. But I really want to say something really quick. We have Jake Hari on in chat here, and I want to ask him, how do you think Alex Baker feels about dropping from the world's #1 ranked player to, I don't know, whatever's below me, 2, 3, 4, 5, and is he doing okay? Obviously we'll have to wait for him to respond in chat, but like I feel like that could be quite a letdown. Like the world breaks into this global pandemic, you lose your #1 ranking. You're pumping out the best model you can do, and it's just not good enough.
It's really tough times for Asimo. I mean, I think we're probably 1 or 2 months away from Asimo like living in a tent down by Soldier Field and just playing League of Legends on his phone with like the 1 or 2 remaining friends he still has.
It's possible. With his girlfriend, or no? You think she'll be there, or she'll leave him too?
Oh no, she's definitely. I mean, I realize this is a toxic interpretation. I personally am on team he's making it up.
Okay.
I know he did post a photo of what appeared to be a female sitting at his computer desk, but I mean, you've seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right? I mean, that stuff's easy to fake.
Yeah, to me it looked like Fast Eddie Fear with a wig on.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and Osimo has this massive stable of contributors. I'm sure he could have gotten any of those guys to come over. I mean, it could have been Randone for all we know.
Yeah, it's possible.
Uh, was Alex really losing that bad? Yeah, man, it's tough times. I am sorry. This stream has just been reported by Osama Blay reporting this toxic stream. Brian,
Yeah.
I opened up this show talking about the
Yeah.
toxic state of this industry, and I myself have succumbed to the toxicity.
You don't. That's part of the problem. Really, it's not your fault.
I'm sorry.
It's like a disease that spreads it's kind of like the coronavirus, honestly.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, I did want to ask you about the LOL lifestyle thing. You mentioned, maybe setting your alarm to check on some news. How have you been sweating League of Legends? Because I've seen some of your screenshots.
Yeah. YouTube live stream when I wake up. Same way everyone else is, I'm assuming.
You're pretty active in that chat too, right?
That's right. Yeah. Well, you have to be. How are you going to fight toxicity if you're not, in the trenches?
It's true. It's true. It's like, you can't influence, or who was it that once said, be the change that you want to see in the world. And so if we're going to sit here and preach toxicity and not hop on these streams and spam Bible verses, then what are we even doing?
No idea. Yeah, it's not about the money. I don't know how many times I have to say that.
Okay, Brian, I did promise the people an LOL tip from Brick75 should we eclipse 20 likes, which we just absolutely steamrolled past. I mean, we're at 23 right now. And I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot. It can be slate specific. It can be general strategy. I feel like we've actually given out a lot of really good nuggets, but I did promise the people an LOL tip from Big Dick Brick.
Big Dick Brick. All right. I'll give out a few here. So, how about a contrarian-ish, nice solid play? And we haven't updated since we've been streaming. So if any of this information is stale, it's not our fault. I'm thinking a solid contrarian play is effort, support from T1. I have him at like 10% own. They're huge favorites. So they are going to get some ownership. but I think you can go over there and you can go over on Kana from the same team at the top.
Would you, would
Yeah,
would
go
you
ahead.
say some of the equity in playing him is if you lose, you can still just say, "Hey, that was a good effort."
Yeah, sure. That was a good one.
It took you a millisecond to get it, and that millisecond brought me so much joy.
It did, because I was looking at my next tip, and then so I'm behind on it. And then
All
I
right.
can't make fun of you because that would be toxic. So my
What was your next tip?
long shot, Chance. Oh God, now there's another dad pun about to happen to me. Chance, from LGD, another support guy. So like, if you're gonna here's a quick tip, unless you're gonna make a Chance joke.
I was.
Okay, well, I ruined it. The support guys are kind of like the team position where I want to know what it was now.
Can I just do it?
Do it.
So you're saying that like he's probably not going to be in the optimal, but you're also saying there's a chance.
Okay, that's pretty good. Yes, I'm saying there's a chance. He's he should be fairly low owned, and as of right now, I'm going over him. And the team in top positions are your like. I'm sorry, I said team in top. Support in top positions are like the team position, except with a little more upside. So I'm not like saying jam them into the captain slot, but if you're just if you're going down the well for a cheapish support guy, that's probably who I'm going to jam in tonight.
Here's a question for you. When you run your projections and you're looking at the lineups and stuff, are you double checking what position is in the captain? Like, how much are you discriminating on that? Like, if you notice that a jungler was in your captain and it was one of your top optimals, like, do any of those things give you pause?
Yeah, for sure. And I don't have, even though I've been playing this game for years, I don't have it all figured out. So if I am getting a ton of support or top, that definitely is concerning. And I don't know where the line is to be drawn yet. Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone does.
I think it was, forget who it was that said it. It might have been Benjamin Franklin, that League of Legends DFS takes 5 minutes to learn, but a lifetime to master.
Yeah, that was him.
Ryan, we had kind of touched on this earlier, but I'll let you field it again. Are you guys heavily stacking LPL as opposed to LCK?
Yeah, we touched on it earlier. I mean, it might appear like I am, but it's not on purpose. It's just that the LCK is, we don't know all the guys who are going to play. So like I said earlier, that's going to kill your ROI. If like somebody, if you let's say you roll someone at 20% or 15%, something reasonable, and he's benched, you're throwing away. That's the rake in the GPP, right? 15%. Now you double it. You're paying for everyone else's rake if he doesn't play, and it's not like you're guaranteed to win any day, anytime. So like, it's gonna look like that probably for a decent amount of teams, but it's not on purpose. And if somehow we figure out how to get these lines in advance,
how about this? Should we put out a bounty, Brian? If one of our LOLz viewers can find us the Adam Schefter of the LCK on Twitter, I mean, I'm willing to give him a lifetime sub.
Oh, wow. Okay. We can do that.
I mean, yeah. I can't even put a price on what that's valued at.
Yeah, no, it'd be worth it for him. Let's just say that.
Yeah. So feel free to do some sleuthing. See if we can figure this out, because we got our guy Kenzie, who just absolutely crushes the LOL beat. I mean, this dude is putting these lineups up like 28 hours in advance or whatever. I mean, it's great, but we need it for the LCK. But here's the thing, Brian, they are anti-gambling. the LCK finds gambling to be incredibly toxic. How do we change their minds on this?
Yeah, it's toxic to be anti-gambling, I think, right? So
It's
it's just
yeah.
another one of our battles we're gonna have to do.
It's
Maybe I can do it in the YouTube chat section. I could throw that in there.
yeah.
Uh, continue the fight there.
Yeah. Isomable. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Should I just Google a random site for LOL Vegas odds, or is there one you guys can recommend? Um, uh, we're not beholden to any affiliates, so you're allowed to mention offshore books, aren't you, Brian?
Yeah, I am. Should I just Google random site for LOL Vegas odds? Use Pinnacle.
Yeah. I've been using Pinnacle. I check on the Bovada ones. The Pinnacle ones seem to get a lot of movement, which is a good sign that there's a lot of action there. But it seems like everyone's offering LOL sports betting now. Your eyes
Uh,
just got really big.
yeah, Ensemble says you can call me whatever you want, Daddy. I mean, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm trying to figure out if that's toxic or not. I think it's kind of falls into the big dick brick category.
Yeah, it's compliment.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh,
I have checked my analytics in my YouTube viewership, and I do have 0.02% female viewers. So
mm,
it just might be someone interested.
yeah.
Jake Hari has a question we skipped over. Has your guy's stances changed on game stacking? I don't know if Jake is serious there. Maybe he is, so I'll answer it seriously. Jake did a review of my lineups on 2 articles where I game stacked entirely both days. And so it has completely changed. I only do 1 player per team. I'm never going to stack again. No, he was being serious. Okay, so yeah, so I said it earlier in the stream, Jake, stack until further notice. And so what I meant by that actually was 4x3s, 4x3s until further notice. In my opinion, others might think differently. And then if I was gonna go down, I'd go 4-2-1. Personally, not 3-3-1.
You can get your 4-2-1 fix on the FanDuel slates.
Yeah, exactly. On FanDuel, you're gonna have to. So that's what I would do. I don't know what everyone else is gonna do. I don't see that changing, Jake. There is a lot of correlation in this sport. And you can adjust for ownership other ways.
Yeah, I actually want to give a shout out to, let me see if I can find him here in my Twitter stream. He's been doing like 1 tweet a day. It's sports projections. He's at sports_PROJ on Twitter. And he's been doing super cool data viz graphs about League of Legends DFS data, looking at correlations, looking at LPL versus LCK scoring. He looked at positional scoring in wins versus losses. Some really cool stuff. I'll put his Twitter in the chat right now. But it's good stuff and will help you kind of wrap your head around some of the macro stuff. I can't vouch for his full data set and what exactly he's pulling from. But it looks cool as shit and it intuitively makes sense to me, which works.
Yeah, I've been a little busy, but I could I'll double check his info eventually. And
Yeah.
it looks right to me. And I'm assuming you're talking about the correlation between player. Me and you chatted on a DM'd about the correlation between ADC and support.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically.
Yeah.
And in there, it doesn't show a significant difference. So like a football, everyone's familiar with the correlation charts for football, right? And there's a huge difference between wide receiver quarterback and running back quarterback, right? And in this case this is a case, I think, Peter, we've talked about this offline with Taylor, our producer, where I think kind of the narrative from the community, the gambling community, that small gambling community within LOL or whatever it would be, is wrong or slightly wrong. They just overvalue from their actual physical, or their, not in this case, not in LOL, but their actual experience of playing the game on what actually matters for us is trying to project and game theory out how to, make money. I'm not sure on that. Let me double check. We don't know if this guy has a good data source, but yeah, like if you're only getting like 0.03 more R squared in your correlation, that's not gonna be worth it, especially since we're playing 2 gamers, 3 gamers, and 6 gamers if we're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point it's pretty obvious that so many of the positions are just all correlated equally with winning. And I think then kind of the next frontier of data that I'll be really interested in is to see, like, if you could splice out, teams projected with an implied probability of say 80% or more, or just the smash spots. It does anecdotally seem like their scoring is a little lower, just because they're so efficient in the way they win and they're not racking up stats. Almost like if, the Chiefs throw or return 2 kickoffs for touchdowns and it's 14-0, and then they spend the rest of the game running the ball, they're not the smash spot. I would be interested in seeing data that looks at that.
That's a good point. And there could be some like game flow narratives. I mean, there would be data behind it, but like game flow narratives that could like not be shown in the data, not be provable in the data, or at least not without a ton of effort. Anyways, it has to be provable for us to use it, in my opinion. But like, yeah, there definitely could be some spots where you can get a little bit of an edge. I think we're a ways from that. Not only figuring that out, but like needing it. I don't think we need it just yet.
Yep, I agree. As Brian said earlier, stack until further notice.
Yeah, so
Brian, go ahead.
I'm sorry if you need to say so. Jake, no. Jake meant something different. He was talking about a full game stack, so like a run back option in football or whatever. They do it in basketball too. I don't really totally agree with that, but it's another topic. So I don't like it, Jake, at all. So I would avoid it on FanDuel specifically. But I don't think you can even run back a 4-3. I'm not sure that's even allowable by the optimizer to run back a 4-3. Am I wrong about that? I don't think I am, but I don't think it's even possible. So it would have to be a 4-2-1, 3-3-1. And in that case, I still don't like it. So we've talked about this, Peter, where it's like in MMA, where you got a 5-round match. So like it's actually a perfect analogy. So like in the MMA, people do match up fighters who are playing against each other. But one of the huge differences there is in the MMA, the prize fights, the big cards have 5 rounds where everyone else has 3. You don't have that in the LPL or the LCK. You have 3 only. And in the LCS and LEC, you have even less, even 1. Yeah, There's no way. Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to do a little more research. But I would just never do it. I'm sure it could happen. But like if you play cash games and your team loses 1-2, like your 3 stack or whatever, like you probably lose all your cash games. Yeah. Right? Like, what are the odds that it's going to go 3 games? You're going to, I don't see it. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but that's my take on it.
So Wes just asked another question. We kind of had the football analogy. What's the difference as far as stacking in LOL versus football? Well, the thing about football, right, is there's this opportunity cost. If Marquise Brown scores a long touchdown for the Ravens, that means Mark Ingram isn't punching it in. And there's finite amount of possessions, and the touchdowns are so swingy, worth 6 points, that it takes away from the other players. Whereas in LOL, it seems that the scoring is so correlated that in a win, the team, it's a rising tide lifts all boats, and they all get a piece of that winning pie a relatively bigger piece of the winning pie relative to the NFL. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, in the link you shared, did you tweet it out or throw it in the chat room? That correlation is enormous. Like if you look at the correlation in football, it's minuscule compared to that. So like this isn't a question. Like this is stack until further notice. And it's probably more than baseball by quite a margin. And that's another stack until, we know in baseball at this point, you stack if you want to win GPPs for sure. Yeah. So yeah, it's like if I get, let's say you had one wide receiver in football, one quarterback, one wide receiver. That's it, right? You would have a 1-to-1 and no running backs, no tight ends. You have a 1-to-1 correlation, right? If this guy's data is correct, it would, instead of 1, it's 0.9, 0.87, 0.9. It's almost 1-to-1. Yeah. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's you're getting all what you would never not stack the QB and the wide receiver. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, in the scenario I gave you, you'd have no options since there's no running back, but you get the point. It's huge.
Yep. So there you go. I mean, I understand where everyone's coming from because I fall prey to this in NFL. My big old galaxy brain kicks in and I want to play like, 7-dimensional chess against everybody. But what we're saying right now is we're not even close to that point in League of Legends stuff. And we can just, we can play it straight for now. If there's any other questions in the chat, we can hit on them, or we can wrap up here so everyone can go get to work on their LOL lineups for tomorrow. We did have a non-LOL question here. We kind of touched on it, a Samable off topic, over under NBA starting back up on June 1st. We were kind of touching on that earlier. On that line, what would you take before or after June 1st?
NBA after.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I would definitely say NBA's, man. The NBA, I would say, like, are they even going to finish the season?
Yeah. I honestly think the most likely thing is they do something like fun and creative where they get some guys, they do some 3-on-3, they do, whatever, just to put out an entertainment product. But I don't see the season as constructed wrapping up. That Ricky's asked that question twice now. I don't know what he's saying. Do you know what he's saying? Thoughts on crunching my team versus one large crunch?
Thoughts on crunching my team versus one large crunch. But not he says. Thoughts on crunching team versus one large crunch. So is that where, okay, I think he might be talking where you do it like team by team. Like, so like you crunch who's playing.
Oh.
Maybe, honestly, I'm guessing at this point. It's like Rogue Warriors. Like he crunches a bunch of Rogue Warriors. I mean,
where you lock a team and then
team, is that what you're saying, Ricky? Crunching by team versus one large crunch. That doesn't make it any more clear, bud. And we are not being toxic here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was right. Yeah. So no, I mean that's not how I do it. But yeah, if you like, actually Peter kind of does it that way, not to give away Peter's strategy, but like he'll pick some teams he likes to make his decisions and take his stands. I just run it. I have my whole entire process and I let that do the work for me, which would mean not locking in anything in any sport basically ever.
Yeah. So. Well, guys, when we started this show, a little over an hour ago, I was in a dark, depressed place. I mean, there was a dark cloud, a black, pox, that had been placed on this industry via one Mr. Wyhan. And I feel like we've emerged on the other side, Brian. I mean, the positivity that emanated between us in this chat has been nothing short of remarkable.
Yeah. And I we should give a shout out to all the folks in the Slack and Discord and Twitter who've joined us in our struggle to end toxicity in gaming. We've gotten a lot of mentions, and we appreciate it.
That's great. Yeah, we appreciate it. We will continue to run this back. on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. Definitely subscribe to Brian's channel if you haven't done that. Win a GPP and tag Brian and I with your screenshots, thanking us for our advice, and more importantly, thanking us for removing toxicity in the esports world. We will see you guys next week.
Later.